All right, so we're going to review integer rules today. Remember, a positive and a negative are going to make a zero pair. And also remember, whenever we subtract, we're going to add the opposite. Okay? We're also going to bring in x's today. Okay? So when we look at this picture here, just a picture of an x is like saying 1x. Or you can simply just call it x. Okay? So if I have 3 x's here, I wouldn't put xxx. I would write it with 3 in front and x in the back. That tells me I have 3 x's. Okay? Now, we can also have negative x's. So this can be read as negative x, or we can even call it negative 1x. Okay? And here, same thing like zero pairs, a positive 1x and a negative 1x are going to cancel each other out, and they equal 0. This is also known as a zero pair. Okay? Because they cancel each other out. All right. Now, let's go ahead and let's look at what zero pairs are and what zero pairs are not. So we can see here that a negative and a positive with no x's tied to it, just regular symbols, they make a zero pair, just like regular numbers, right? A positive 1 and a negative 1 make a zero pair. They cross each other out and they're 0. Well, same thing here. We have a positive x and a negative x. It's like saying 1x and negative 1x. So a positive 1x and a negative 1x also cancel each other out because they create that zero pair. Now, what's not going to create a zero pair is 1x and negative 1. Because there's not an x behind this 1, I cannot combine them together. So therefore, this is not a zero pair. Okay? Also, if I have a negative x and a positive, just regular 1, this is not going to create a zero pair. Remember, in order for it to create a zero pair, they have to be like in the same family, okay? So you have to be the I'm just a number family, or you have to be an I'm in the x family. All right, so let's go ahead and let's do some practice now. So here we have 3x, take away x, minus 2x's, plus an x. So we're going to practice just combining x's like we did integers back at the beginning of the school year. So if I have 3 x's, I'm going to drag my 3 positive x's underneath positive x here. And when it's negative, I'm going to drag it on the negative side. Okay, so I can see here total, I have 4 positive x's and 3 negative x's. And remember, we know that 1 negative and 1 positive cancel each other out. 1 negative and 1 positive cancel each other out. And 1 negative and 1 positive cancel each other out. Therefore, I'm just left with x. So remember, we can write it in as just x, or you can even write it in as a 1x. Typically, though, if it's only 1x as your answer is just going to be x. You typically will not see the 1 in front of it. Okay? All right, let's go ahead and try this one here. Now, this time, we're still going to keep our x's in the first part, and then we're going to keep the I'm just a numbers. Remember, they're in different families, so we got to keep the families separate here, right? So I'm going to put my 3 x's underneath my x. I'm going to put my 2 negatives underneath the I'm just a number, or I'm just a negative. Then the negative x goes underneath the negative x side. And then the positive 4s go on just the positive number side. Notice there's two parts to your answer here because you cannot combine families. You cannot combine the family of x's with the families of I am just numbers. Okay, we have to keep them separate. So we're going to combine all the x's. So let's see what 0 pairs we have. We have a 0 pair here and a 0 pair here. So in the I'm just an X family, or I'm an X family, we have just X. We have one X left. Now let's look at the I'm just a number family. So we have one 0 pair here and another 0 pair here. So now what's left over is 2 positives. So I would put 2 in my second box. Now we have x plus 2 is our final answer, and we've simplified by combining like terms in this expression here. Okay? All right. Now let's go ahead and let's model on our own. I see a 1 here, and the 1 is I'm just a number. So I'm going to go ahead and put the 1 underneath. Now I see we're going to be taking away an x. So we're going to put a minus x. We have 2 positives, so we're going to put 2 positives underneath 2. Plus 4 x's. So we need to give 4 green x's since those are 4 positive x's. And then now I see 5 negatives, and they're just a regular I'm a negative. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and put all of these in their place. So I'm going to put the positive 1 over here underneath the positive, the negative x underneath negative x. I have 2 more positives, so I want to put my 2 positives here. And then we have 4 x's, so we're going to put our 4 x's underneath the green. And then 5 negatives, so we're going to put our 5 negatives here. Notice I'm putting them together by family because I cannot combine different families, right? Only family with family. All right, so the I'm just an X family only has 1 0 pair. Therefore, what's left over is 3 positive X's. So when I go to type in my answer, I want to type in 3X first. Then now I'm going to count my 0 pairs with the I'm just a number family. So we have 3 0 pairs here. We have 1, 2, and 3. And what's left over is a negative 2. So in the second box, I now plug in negative 2. Oops. Okay, so my final answer would be 3x plus 2. Okay, let's try another one. Okay, here I'm going to model what I see. I see 4 x's and they're positive. So I'm going to put 4 x's. I see 4 on just regular old positive numbers. I'm going to model 4 positive numbers. And then a regular just I'm X. And then a negative 1. And 2 negative X's. Okay? All right. Now we're going to put everything in its family so we can combine like terms, right? So everything that looks alike. So I'm going to put all my X's, my green X's, underneath my green X. I'm going to put my I'm just numbers underneath. I'm just a positive number. My positive x. I'm just a negative. And then my negative 2x. Okay. And I can see here that I have 2 0 pairs. So these x's are going to get knocked out, which leaves us with 3 x's again. So I'm going to put 3 x's in my first box, and then I only have 1 0 pair with the I'm just a number family, right? And I have 3 positives left over after my 0 pair. So after I'm done simplifying this expression, I should have 2 parts since I have 2 different families here. I have the x family and I'm just a number family. So we have 3x plus 3 as our final answer. Okay, one last one. All right, let's go ahead and let's on this. I have an x, so I'm going to put 1 green x. I have another x, so I'm going to put 1 green x. I have a positive 1 plus 2, so 2 more positives. Then just an I'm an x, 4 negatives. And then 2 negative x's. Okay, now that I put everything out and modeled it, I'm going to combine everything. So I'm going to put all my green x's here and my negative x's here. So I put everything with an x. So now let's see our 0 terms. We have 1 0 pair, 2 0 pairs. So now I have 1 x left. Remember, we can represent 1 x as just x. So I'm going to put x in. And now I'm going to do the same thing for my I'm just a number. So I'm going to go ahead and drag that I'm just a negative over here. And then I'm a positive over here. Okay. And then I'm going to count up my 0 pairs. Remember, a negative and a positive make a 0 pair. And what's left is a negative 1. So in the yellow box here, I'm going to put negative 1. So after I simplify my expression and I combine like terms, our final answer is x plus negative 1.